This is News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO Mornings. Dave King, Matt Martin. This is Thursday morning at 7:35, and that means time for Jerry Reynolds, the Car Pro. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, fellas. How are y'all?
I'm doing well.
We're probably better than we deserve. How about yourself?
Yeah, I can go along with that. Me too, especially this week, because I've been kind of high rolling this week.
You driving a Rolls Royce?
No, not that good.
Oh.
But I've got a Maserati Ghibli.
Ooh.
Yes, a very beautiful car, inside and outside, and it is a performer, I'll tell you. 440 horses under the hood and a 6-cylinder engine, believe it or not, and just a stunning car. I mean, it's blue with tan interior. Blue's really making a comeback of late. I've had a lot of blue cars this past year, but this one handles great. It's not the biggest Maserati. That's called the Quattroporte. This one is just a step down, but still a good-sized car, nice back seat. I think the thing I love the most about this car, believe it or not, is the sound of the exhaust. You got to hear this thing. And when I shot video with it yesterday, we got a microphone right at the rear of the car, and I kept revving it up so everybody could get a sense of what this thing sounds like. But very fast, very easy to operate car. The infotainment system in this car is just super simple. And I love that because that's getting harder and harder to find. These things get more and more complicated, and you got to go through 6 screens to go change your radio stations. And this one's just really simple, but a nice car. It's an eye catcher. A lot of people look at it and go, "What's that?" And if you look at the front, because it's signature Maserati front grille. And at a glance, you know what it is. But from the side and from the rear, everybody's kind of scratching their head going, what is that? This car is completely loaded with a window sticker right at $99,000, $99,075.
No, that doesn't sound that bad for Maserati.
It doesn't. I was surprised, I'll be honest with you. I thought it would be more than that. I thought it'd be, 110, 115, somewhere in there, because when you start looking at Mercedes and cars comparable in horsepower and size and amenities, most of them are north of $100,000. So I thought the price point versus the competition was actually very good on this car, and just a fun car to drive.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jerry, one question. Or one story that has come up, a car story. Nearly 1.4 million Ford Lincoln cars recalled. Steering wheel can come loose, it says.
I am. This is a serious one because if the steering wheel detaches going down the road, and believe it or not, I had that happen to me one time years and years ago. It's a very strange feeling to have the steering wheel come off in your hands at highway speeds. The question that we don't have the answer to yet is, when will the Ford dealers get the parts to fix these things?
Isn't that always the problem? I mean,
it is.
Aren't they still trying to get all the airbags to switch out the airbags?
Oh, there's 35 million of those still hanging out there.
Well, now, this story, Jerry, says owners will be notified by mail the week of April 30th, and parts are expected to be available by then.
Yeah, and I think they will. And believe it or not, it's going to be a pretty simple fix. Once they do get the parts, they're putting a longer bolts in there because they found that this one was just a hair too short and it can shear off. Now, there hasn't been a lot of cases of this, but it is something to be aware of. And if you've got a 2014 to 2018 Fusion or Lincoln MKZ, you need to be really careful. Don't pull on it. Some people like to grab the steering wheel when they're getting in the car to pull themselves in. Don't do that. Just be as ginger with it as you can until the parts get there. But all my years as a Ford dealer, that was one of the things that frustrated us the most, was they would announce these recalls before we found out about them. I mean, seriously, we would hear about them at the same time everybody else did from the media. And then all of a sudden our phones light up and people are calling us, and we're like, we just don't have the information yet. And it's kind of a frustrating thing, but that's typical. This one,
you'd think
they would a little bit serious.
You would think they would have all the parts and everything in place before they threw out the recall.
You would think so, but if it's a serious recall that can cause injuries, I think they want to get the word out as quickly as possible, so that people are aware of it. And again, it's things that can change. If you're one of those people who pulls on your steering wheel, and believe it or not, a lot of people do. Sometimes they'll push on it. They'll use it to get in and out of the car. That's just something that if you're driving one of these cars right now, you really need to try to avoid. Just be as gentle with it as you possibly can. The other story that's at my website that I thought was kind of sad was we found out the Volkswagen Bug is going away again. And we probably within a year, Volkswagen has said they're not going to continue to build the Beetle. And that's going to be a sad day for some people because I think we all grew up, everybody at one point has driven a Beetle, and neat little cars, but they're just not selling, so they're going to go away. It's very sad.
Yeah. I mean, there is, and now I don't know if they still do that, but didn't they just pretty much use the same kind of stuff as the Jetta on those? I mean, it felt like they were pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, they've changed since they brought it back. It went away in 2003 and came back in 2013, and it had the underpinnings of the Jetta. But I reviewed it when the new one first came out, and I tell you, it was still fun to drive. I was so surprised how it handled and how much quicker it is than the old ones. It's particularly nostalgic to me because that's the car I learned to drive on when I was 15 years old. My dad had one, and he taught me to drive it, and it was a stick shift.
Yeah, you got to get a standard if you're going to be driving a Bug. That's just all. Oh, yeah. It's got to be standard.
No doubt about it.
So
other than that, there's nothing really breaking in the news for the automobiles this week. It's been alarmingly quiet, I'll be honest with you.
It's spring break.
Yeah, exactly. March is stacking up to be a good month, especially in trucks, because all the manufacturers are having their truck month celebration this month, and that means people who are in the market for a truck, the rebates and incentives this month are probably the best of the year.
Yeah, and you said the end of March is probably the best time to buy a truck.
It is, and we saw some movement just yesterday in the rebates. And I said last week when you guys and I talked, we'd probably see more rebates toward the second half of March. And sure enough, yesterday, Ford upped theirs, General Motors upped theirs, so did Ram. I haven't heard from Toyota. I don't know if they've taken their incentives up or not. If they haven't, they probably will. We're in Texas. I mean, it's a very competitive truck market. So if you waited for the right time to buy a truck, I would say it's now.
All right. Well, Jerry, thank you for coming on our show. We want to remind everyone that you're on 11 to 1 on right here on KFYO on Saturdays. And then also your website is carprousa.com.
Yes, I will be there Saturday, guys. Good to talk to y'all.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you next week.